So we are in the Saksham building of the main campus for TISS, and we'll be interacting with the current students, and so we'll try to know what their experiences have been, और कैसा है campus life, क्या classes में होता है. That's what we'll be talking about. So let's start with the first question. How is the campus life? I mean, do you guys enjoy it actually, or it's very restricted? So what kind of campus life you guys are facing?
Campus life is very vibrant and colorful. I mean, given that it's a social college with people working in social work and women studies, यहाँ पे सारे events काफ़ी high pomp से मनाए जाते हैं. Yes, I mean we can say Ganesh Chaturthi काफ़ी high pomp से मनाई गई थी, and it's very vibrant and colorful. No such restrictions over here. It's open all the time. So as students,
some restrictions are good actually.
But yeah, obviously some restrictions जो normal रहते दो तो हैं. But it's a really good campus. I mean, given that it's in the center of Mumbai, इतना बड़ा campus मिल रहा है घूमने के लिए, that's a privilege. So I'm really enjoying it.
Campus life is quite good because it's a vibrant campus. So this is the main campus, and then we have another campus, which is the new campus, which is around 50 meters from here. So it's two spaces where students can go and interact with each other, and all the courses, all the students get to interact with each other. So we are students of ODCL program, and we get to interact with the students of various other courses as well. So that helps to know different perspectives. And then there are various events, such as we have the sports fest going on right now. So that is a very good value addition. And then we celebrate all the festivals together. So it really adds to the social sensitivity to this management program.
Our college, we used to have a paranthe wala center and all that kind of thing. Where, even one in the early evening, I would say people would, find people looking for paranthas and magis. Do we have that kind of center?
We have a very famous place called Nagori here. So
it's inside the campus?
No, it's outside the campus. But inside there is nothing as such.
Okay.
So there is a chai tapri that is there, and a lot of gatherings, and after the classes or in between breaks also.
Any party place inside the campus?
Not exactly, but like outside the campus there are a lot of.
You can take permission and do party days.
No, not inside the campus, but outside there are a lot of places.
Small gatherings के लिए quadrangle में there's a space where birthday celebrations.
Where I'm coming from is we could have barbecues in our college campus. So okay, I'll come to the boring classroom part. Is it actually boring, or you guys enjoy that classroom? I mean, classes are generally of 2 hours. These are long sessions, right? So my question is, do they actually teach you? I mean, is the real teaching happens, concepts padha rahe and all that? Or do you guys, come yourself prepared, reading the literature part, material part, and you discuss things in the classroom? That is, I mean, that's the way it goes? Or
it's very similar to an MBA program. So a lot of readings, case study sessions that happens every day. Almost like in a week, we don't really get a break. So that's also one of the things. Sometimes it get hectic, but yeah. So anyhow, it's a part of the program, so we have to do it.
One part I'll add to the question: do you see guys making assignments 3-4 in the morning, something like that? I mean, do you actually do it? I couldn't do it ever.
Yeah, I mean the program is a bit hectic, but I think the classroom discussions are actually very lively.
Okay.
And because like for our course ODCL program, everyone has minimum work ex of 2 years.
Okay.
So I think that brings in like a fresh perspective where we can really, whatever the concepts we are reading are not just in the books, we can actually relate back to our work ex, and similarly for our field internships as well.
So this is the only program where work ex is required. I mean, you cannot enter it without work ex. So how does that play around inside a classroom? I mean, if we talk about just about classroom, how does that play around in terms of, imagine if you didn't have any work ex, had you been coming without any work ex, so how would that have impacted the things?
So the discussions are much more detailed, because even though people have a minimum of 2 years of experience, they're aware of what the industry is going and what are the other sectors people are working. So the class is aware, and the discussions are much more lively with more insights from the business and the sectors to make the conversations more gripping. So yeah, for a fresher, the discussions would have been very not inclusive. I mean, they would have felt excluded, and they wouldn't have a better understanding of the concepts which the faculty is trying to teach us. But yes, given that everyone here is with WorkX, it's quite helpful and obviously detailed and interactive for all the members in the class.
It's a very diverse batch. So we have multiple people like in different streams.
Different industries maybe.
So like I'm from a finance background, so people who is having a electronics and an IT engineering degree would give a lot of different perspectives. and somebody who's coming from a manufacturing background would really have seen the supply chain, how does it go. That also really helps the class to understand everybody's perspective and to gauge into like what happens really on the ground. So that is also one of the beautiful things that is not provided by other courses that are there. So that's the beauty of having the WorkX as well.
This diversity part, the best part, or I don't know whether it's best part or not. In our MBA classroom, we used to have a lot of fights, little fights. Okay, because of the diversity thing. I mean, you would be saying that this happens this way in the industry, this is the right way. I would say, chuck it, this is not the right way, you know nothing. So, does that happen?
I think there are colors, but all taken in good spirit, because everyone is like a professional.
Spirit of the fighting.
I think it's more about like understanding each other, and it's more about things that maybe coming from a different industry. No, not at all. I think we're all very professional here, so nothing of that sort. I think everyone has been displaying like good level of professionalism, and but I think it's a lot more interesting because that is something that would probably not get anywhere else.
Other dimension of having WorkX and having diversity of experience is that all these students are in plug and play mode when they go to any industry. So when we get finally placed, or when we go for field internships, or when we go for summer internships, then we are already aware of professional ethics, and then we are just using our added knowledge to that organization. So in that sense, it's a very good advantage for all the students.
So what do you see there? What exactly do you do there? I mean, do you have any fixed assignment, or you just roam around? So I'm not sure you don't just roam around there. You must be having very specific tasks at least, because this is something which is happening in TISS for a very, very long time. So I mean, they must be organizing it in some way. So being a college or institute which is known for fieldwork, how would you say what happens in fieldwork? I mean, something that you are not able to see obviously in the classroom. So how does it go exactly?
Generally, projects are allotted to the people who are going. They are already either existing projects which are going on, or either they are new projects in which all the students are assigned. So that is one of the beautiful part as well, because there are chances that you also get to choose a project. Like if there are multiple projects, people get to choose that where, like in my last fieldwork, I got into marketing and sales. Okay. So that was one of the best things happened to me, because I never had that exposure. I was majorly working in a consulting and finance role. Yeah. So that was also new. No, nothing was like. So 1 month stint, I got to interact with people who are in that domain, got to visit the market as well, what's happening right now currently in the market. So it's also about the student, how does it take it, how much responsibility the student also takes. So that is also one of the biggest factors. And we have to also submit a report to the college and the organization as well. So that is also a big evaluation part. And sometimes the solution or the recommendation are being appreciated by the company. So it also builds or shows the capabilities of the people that are in ODCL specifically, because coming from a work experience, that also helps.
One more thing that comes to my mind when we talk about fieldwork, because in our college time, when we used to do case studies, our professor used to say that apply the concepts that you study in the book. I'm sure they must be saying those things to you also, because that is not the case. So how much are you able to relate those bookish concepts to the field work? I mean, that's because generally field mein it's like one concept and a lot of practical work. So that's been my understanding. It's not that you can apply 10 concepts in a month there. So what's been your experience?
I was assigned a new project which was no one was working on it. Mm-hmm. And yes, I got the opportunity to map some of the concepts I read in the class. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like during the 1 month I saw something which I could relate to the concept. Mm-hmm. It's not that we're looking or there's something happening that we've been taught this concept and this is being implemented in the organization in such a particular way. Mm-hmm. But some way or the other, every organization has a way of working which might revolve around those concepts, or they have imbibed them, the concepts in the functioning. Mm-hmm. Because even everyone in the organization has prominently done the MBA in the HR department, so the concepts were there and it wasn't very difficult to map them. Right. Given there were some days where I could not relate because it was a completely different. I had an experience in IT department and I got a project in HR. So there was something that was very different, and yes, I was struggling to relate to one or the other things. But given by the end of the fieldwork during the 1 month stint, while working on the project, yes, there were many various concepts from different subjects where which I could relate to the organization.
So adding on to this same thing, fieldwork, I remember when I started my first job, I was assigned a mentor, and the first thing that he said was that you're coming from a state farm college and you have a lot of bookish knowledge. Apply that. I mean, don't worry whether they laugh at you or not. I mean, I still don't worry. But I mean, do you guys actually see that thing? Ki, you can recall a concept and see कि यार ये तो implement हो रहा है. I don't know. It's totally opposite to what I've read. So, do you have such kind of experiences?
For me personally, like my fieldwork was in the manufacturing setup. Okay. So that was like also my first corporate exposure because I was working in a PSU. I was working in a public sector bank before this. So that was the first exposure. And as you said, like we had mentors. So even the college made it like very smooth for us. The entire onboarding provided a curriculum. Yes. And we also had an industry mentor. And I think for me personally, it was more about observing like what is happening in the organization, or observing their organization structure, and then mapping it into the concepts that we've already studied in semester 1, for example. So I think that was a good thing because a lot of things that we've actually read came to life, where I could really observe like how is the TGM of a very high performing manufacturing plant in the state of Rajasthan, really working with his line manager, with the workmen, and how are they, like collaborating on such a high level. So that was something, I think the real beauty of it is that the concepts that we have studied in class, I was able to map when I went.
So the fieldwork opportunity was an excellent experience because I'm coming from a research background. I was mostly dealing with numbers and, research papers. Less of human interaction compared to what I got here. So during my first field internship, it was in manufacturing sector. And then I got to see the concepts of organization behavior and also could relate it to my textbook. So there were various things such as organization theory and development and org structure. So these things were very important to learn and then see how they play out in the real world. And also my organization was having a capacity expansion project. So change management and leadership development was a very critical part of the entire exercise. So getting to know about all that was quite crucial because it will help in the coming future endeavors.
And I think that fieldwork also provided an opportunity wherein we could probably shadow. Like we were practically in the first semester, like in the first internship basically, we were shadowing say the top management and observing. So it was a lot more of observing and shadowing, and that is, I believe, like the real strength of the whole process because it is such a once in a lifetime sort of a thing wherein you can really
you got chances to ask
actually to ask and and to observe from an outsider perspective, but then you're really there and the management is supporting you as well. So like for example, for me, like I had calls from like some of the top IMs as well, and I think for me choosing TISS over an IM, I think this fieldwork was definitely
question would be coming to you.
that fieldwork was definitely one of the factor. That is something that USP that TISS has. So it's like a 4+1, like one fieldwork in every semester plus a summer internship.
One more thing. So if somebody is aspiring to do this kind of course, what kind of skill sets do you think he or she should have? Without that, it'll be difficult to survive. I mean, one could be like managing the hectic work here. It'll be very hectic, I'm sure, for 2 years. Apart from that, what sort of, somebody should be good at listening to others, those kind of things, because that's what adds value, not just to himself or herself, but to the entire batch. Okay, so what do you think? Or you thought that you could have that already, before coming to the program?
So I'll be answering that in two parts. So coming on to the skills part, you already mentioned that the time management is something which is really important. And second, I would say not a skill but a willingness to really learn and have the courage to get into the scheme of things and really understanding the perspective of everybody. So in OD, what is really important is to understand the perspective of the other person, or if you're going to an organization, understanding what the CEO or a management person is saying, really getting into the nerves of the things. And we are coming from coming from a background where we have to leave the job and come here, so that also the energy and the drive is always there to learn more and to practice more as such. And the fieldwork, we have already mentioned that 4 different verticals generally we get, like people will get exposure in finance, marketing, HR as well, operations probably. So that is also one of the things that again, the courage to learn and the willingness to learn should be one of the most important things, because you cannot generalize that, because there are different people coming here from diverse backgrounds. So there is no generalization happening here, but the specific skill is to understand and having that the key to learning and understanding the objectives of the people or the organization. So that is one of the best things that you can come with.
I believe the skills are varying for everyone. So someone might be imbibed with some skills and that will be working for them, but that might not
things
work.
Which are like basic to this course.
Yes, it's one of a kind course offered only by TISS in India. People need to align and understand what they're getting into if they want to know about the course. So people should read more about OD, organization development, as to why is it needed, and if they could, because everyone has over here has to come with a work experience. So if they're able to connect with the course, it will make the process of getting motivated and learning more about OD and ODCL more smoother and more enjoyable for them. Getting into the nitty-gritties and the need and what are the steps taken. So aligning your values with the course is something which I think should be on the priority list. Because skills तो आप यहाँ आओगे with the routine बन जाएंगे, but if you're not aligned with your values are not aligned with the course, then it will be very difficult for someone.
To be prepared to get into this course.
Yes.
Before coming here. ODCL interview is very specific. I mean, the only program where they need work ex. So I would like to touch upon, in brief, that what were your experiences or what clicked for you. I mean, they ask you to read a book. So how do you connect your work ex with the what is written in the books, because you cannot grasp everything what is written in the book. So any one or two simple feedback or suggestion that you want to give to the aspirants about interview, because this interview is something which is very tricky for them, at least in their minds, in terms of perception. It's very tricky for them. Something that gives them confidence as to this is what I need to do. Something that worked for you maybe.
Just a disclaimer, my interview was just my own personal experience and it's different for everyone. But having said that, I think one very important thing which everyone can do is relating the OD concepts to their previous work ex and being ready with examples which they can articulate in front of the panel. And the panel was putting stress on me, but then they want the candidate to stick to their story and then show their willingness to join the program. So relating to their previous work ex, the concepts which are given in the books, and then sticking on to their conviction to join the program. These are two very important things.
I think that one of the common theme which was asked to, I think, almost all of us was why ODCL? So that is one question, like you better be prepared.
That's a question in their minds also. Why
Yes. So that is something that they really want you to be very convinced and clear.
Yeah.
And because the panel is so experienced that they will see through if you are not being genuine.
Yes.
So that is one thing, to have that inner clarity and then to be able to express that in the panel. So one is that, and secondly, I think because of the work experience, there is an inherent expectation that if they are asking a concept of change management, for example, or if we're asked to explain a model, so as Prakhar said, to back it up with an example, or to from your personal life, from professional life. So that is something like whichever concepts one is reading, even from the books, to kind of go back, reflect, and come up with an example that we could use.
We were given a list of 5 books and we had to read one of them. So as mentioned by Prakhar and Chavi, that we have to relate the concepts. And because obviously the panelists know that we are going to leave a job and come. So they want to know as to why you want to come into this course specifically. So we have to align our values and the experiences as per the concepts mentioned in the book. If I can give an example, I was a business analyst. So relating to a concept mentioned in the book and giving a real life example added to my benefit. And basically the panelists did try to stress me out as to why you took this decision and did not go the other way around. But sticking to your story and aligning it with the concepts read in the book played well for me. And that is what I mean. You have to be sure why you want to join ODCL and what is about the course and the concept which you read in the book are you relating to. because there might be one concept. Suppose if I can state that a person is very much relating to change management rather than OD, so you have to be verbal and give an example that change management is something I'm very much interested and I could relate to the concept, and I back it up with the example. And sticking to it is what will ensure the panelists about your intention and the motivation to join the course.
Before interviews, there is a specific form called DAF, detailed application form, in which you can really put down all the things that you want or probably you want to communicate. So that was a very starting point for me, that if something I want to talk in the interview, I should really mention it in a detailed application form.
You can drive it.
Yeah, so that can be a driving force. So I specifically mentioned about my work experience, what I did there. So that really helped for me, because the questions were mostly around my previous work experience, what I have done, what kind of leadership roles or what kind of team management that I've done in my teams and the projects. So that really clicked. And second thing was, I was really being honest about what I want to do and why I want to be in ODCL apart from the books that were mentioned. So that was one of the things that clicked or worked for me, was the detailed application form and being honest in the interview. That really, so if you are faking it, they will know. They have a experience of 30-35 years already in the industry, so they will know. So just be honest, and if you want to drive the interview, just get the help from the DAF. That's the only thing that worked for me.
All the crux that I could get from here was that you're coming from an industry, from a company, working there. So you need to really understand the OD from that perspective first, and then maybe think about what you can do or what change would you like to incorporate there. So great. So it's been a great discussion. Some of them have to go somewhere. I don't know where, but so this is something I hope this add value to what you want to hear from the campus, and I hope you liked it. Thank you.